Hey guys, welcome back to the channel McNallie Money, home of all things stock, investment, and personal finance related. For today's video, we're going to be profiling a new company to the channel. The name is Immix Biopharma, and as the name implies, this is a biopharmaceutical focused company. They've got super exciting technology, a rockstar leadership team, and a really cool background or story that led to the creation of this company. Now, before we get into all that, please take a second, hit the like button, you guys. It's a huge help to myself and the channel. If you're not already subscribed, McNallie Money, feel free to do so. And let me know in the comment section below if you're currently holding shares of this company, if you've heard about this business before, and how you think they stack up to some of the other players in this space. Now, with that being said, let's get into today's video. Okay guys, so that's right. Today's video, we're going to be taking a look at Immix Biopharma. This company is involved in the clinical stage biopharmaceutical space, and they're specifically focused on what's called tissue-specific therapies or therapeutics, which we're going to describe and discuss a little bit later in today's presentation. So a really unique company here, cutting-edge technology, and they've already got multiple different products in the clinical stage pipeline, which is super exciting for anyone who's invested in this space or held companies like this in the past. Now, Immix Bio trades under the ticker symbol IMMX on the NASDAQ exchange in the United States. This is as of close on August 10th, so Thursday of last week. You can see they closed out the session down 9 cents a share, about 3.5%, to end the day at $2.43. And unlike many of the companies we've talked about on this channel previously, Immix has actually held up very nicely over the past 6 months. You can see they've actually been uptrending over the last month and a half from $1.33 towards the middle of May. And if we zoom out to a 1-year chart, virtually trading at the same price they were on the 14th of March or the middle of March of this year. So again, holding up very well, you guys, and speaking to some of the excitement around this company and the pipeline of products that they're looking to bring to market. Now, with that being said, in terms of video format, we're going to jump over to the company website, talk about Immix Biopharma, what the company does, their backstory or history, and how this organization came to be. Then we're going to jump into their investor presentation, walk through their business model, some of the different products that they have in the various different stages of clinical trial, and why I'm so excited about this company for the long term. So with that being said, if we jump over to the Immix Biopharma corporate website, I'll leave a link in the video description below if you want to go in and take a closer look for yourself. I wanted to kick things off with the backstory here because this is a company that's really set out to help people improve lives and actually make a meaningful difference in the communities in which they operate. So Immix Bio was founded back in 2012, so it's been around for over 10 years now by a visionary physician/scientist, a world-renowned pharmacology expert, a seasoned biotechnology patent attorney, and an impact-driven founding family office. So really quite a mix of people who came together to start this organization. Now, their goal is to develop an entirely new class of what's known as tissue-specific therapies, which we're going to talk about and define in a second here, also known or abbreviated as TSTX, which they believe will replace first-line therapies across a multitude of different cancer indications. Now, they go on to say, unfortunately, many of us have experienced losing a loved one to cancer. I know this is a story we hear all too often. And the team at Immix Bio was actually in this exact situation when they lost Donald Sen, and they've actually dedicated the company to helping people in that situation or providing meaningful benefit for each one of these patients. And he was actually at the height of his career as a biomedical scientist, which definitely puts a personal connection or touch on this story. So not only does the management team have a ton of experience here, you guys, you can see the co-founder and CEO, Ilya Rashman, who's an MD, PhD, Gabriel Morris, who's the Chief Financial Officer, and Graham Ross, who's the Chief Medical Officer and Head of Clinical Development. They've got an impressive track record, a ton of education, and that personal connection or drive to help people in the same situation. And these millions of families around the world who are struggling with cancer, cancer treatment, and unfortunately in many situations, the loss of a loved one or family member. So for me, this really hit home. And again, we've talked about this on the channel many times before. It's great to find investments like this where you can actually make money, but you also can feel good about the underlying business and what they're trying to accomplish in the world, which is the exact category that Immix Biopharma fits into. Now, in terms of their actual technology and the products that they're developing, I wanted to introduce you guys through this video. It's available on the company website, and then we'll talk about what tissue-specific therapies are in a little bit more detail. So here's the introductory video.
Immix Bio is pioneering a novel class of tissue-specific therapeutics, or TSTX, which accumulate in tumors and therapeutic sites at 3 to 5 times that of conventional medicines.
So you can see there's currently 3 different products or technologies that are in the pipeline: IMX 110, 111, and 120. Now we're going to talk about in the investor presentation what each one of these products is focused on or targeted at. You can see they're all 3 focused on tissue-specific technology, with IMX 110 being the furthest along in terms of the clinical trial process.
IMX 110, the first tissue-specific therapeutic with TME normalization technology, has 3 key design elements. Number 1, optimal size. IMX 110's small size enables it to penetrate through tiny perforations in blood vessels and reach the tumor and its microenvironment. Number 2, electrostatic attraction. IMX 110 is attracted to the tumor like a magnet due to its electrical charge, promoting its accumulation in the tumor tissue. Using its TME normalization technology, IMX 110 simultaneously attacks all 3 components of the TME, severing the critical lifelines between the tumor and its metabolic and structural support. Multi-target inhibition. IMX 110 releases millions of effector molecules causing tumor cells, cancer-associated fibroblasts, and tumor-associated macrophages to self-destruct via apoptosis. Immix Bio's tissue-specific therapeutics have become an effective first-line therapy for patients with cancer and inflammatory diseases. Immix Bio, pioneering a novel class of tissue-specific therapeutics. Learn more at immxbio.com.
So there you can see that term tissue-specific therapeutics, or TSTX, again, which is trademarked to Immix Biopharma. We've talked about macrophages on this channel before in terms of some of the other companies we've covered, and really quite astonishing, you guys, quite amazing to see how cancer and tumor fighting technology has progressed when you think about this compared to some of the traditional treatment plans that unfortunately patients have been stuck with for the last few decades. So again, really exciting, super cutting edge here, and now we're going to talk about these products in a little bit more detail. So for context, cancer growth, you guys, is driven by what's known as supportive inflammatory tumor microenvironment, or TME, which provides nutritional and structural support for tumor expansion. So that's what allows these tumors to actually grow in the body. So this tightly packed mass known as the TME is actually made up of a number of different things. So number 1 are the cancer-associated fibroblasts, or CAFs. Second is the tumor-associated macrophages, or immune cells, so those are the TAMs. And the third is actually cancer itself. And again, we've talked about some of these elements in previous videos. Now, current cancer treatment approaches generally come in one of these forms. So they're either cytotoxic chemotherapies or focus on targeting one single receptor or a single mutation of the cancer, which limits their ability to counter an evolvable tumor and its microenvironment. So the focus here is really to find an adaptable solution which can target all 3 components of this TME, or again, tumor microenvironment. So at Immix Biopharma, their smart tissue specific platform produces tissue specific therapies, again, those TSTX, which do exactly that. So they target all 3 components of the TME simultaneously, severing the critical lifelines between the tumor and its metabolic support systems using TME normalization technology. So the thing to keep in mind here is tumors are living cells, you guys. They grow just like anything else in the body. And by targeting all three components of the tumor's microenvironment simultaneously, you're going to cut off the lifeline to the body and in turn actually kill the tumor. And that's exactly what you see here. So this halts the self-sustaining feed-forward loop, which addresses the root cause of these inflammatory pathogens. Our mission is to create an entirely new class of these tissue-specific therapies that personalize treatment to address the complexity of diseases in every patient, starting with oncology and immunodysregulated diseases. So definitely a lot to unpack there, but in summary, if we take a step back, this is a new treatment class that's really focused on addressing the entire tumor's microenvironment so the tumor can no longer grow, and in turn, that's going to help the patient outcome. So now that we have a better understanding of what Immix Biopharma is all about, their mission, why this company was set up, and what their technology is capable of, I wanted to jump over to the investor presentation, which you can see here, and talk about their business in a little bit more detail. So in terms of the company overview, again, they've got multiple different products within the pipeline. IMX 110 is the lead candidate. This one's in phase 1B and 2A advanced solid tumor clinical trials in the US and Australia. There's 14 patients that have been treated to date, so they already have this product in patients. The FDA has granted what's known as orphan drug designation, or ODD, in soft tissue sarcoma, and granted what's known as a rare pediatric disease designation, or an RPDD. Now they're being developed for what's known as monotherapy, and again it's planned as a first-line therapy as we saw in the video. Now IMX 110 is in a combination trial with their corporate partners BeiGene and Novartis, and then they're planning to conduct what's known as preclinical IND enabling studies in 2022 for IMX 111 and IMX 120. And this IND acronym stands for Investigational New Drug. So a lot of really exciting stuff here, and again, not a one-trick pony with this company. You're getting a variety of different products in a variety of different stages along their clinical development journey, targeting various different conditions or helping various different patients with solid tumors, various different cancers, and inflammatory bowel disease, or IBD. Now the platform and technologies supporting this growth is their Smart Tissue Specific Platform, or Smart XT, already produced 1 clinical and 2 preclinical drug candidates, which we just talked about. The 3 pillars we're going to look at in a second here, so I won't go through those right now. The TME normalization technology, which we saw in the video, again, focused on targeting or attacking all 3 components of the tumor microenvironment. And you can see over a 1,200% increase in cancer cell death versus conventional therapies. And then finally, this immune normalization technology, all 3 of which are trademarked by Immix Biopharma, attacking all 3 components of the abnormal dysregulated immune synapse. So a strong technological platform that's supporting this pipeline of products which they're looking to bring to market. They've got over 15 patents and patent applications covering this technology within their IP, or intellectual property portfolio, with some of the most highly regarded medical institutions in the world, including Harvard Medical School, Stanford Medicine, and UC San Diego School of Medicine. And this slide here really builds out or talks about those 3 pillars we mentioned in a little bit more detail. So number 1, system tissue biology model development. These are purpose-built physical biochemistry engines. And third, a predictive validation framework. And these pillars together are what gives Immix Bio the edge over some of these traditional treatment plans. And then at the bottom here, you can see, very similar to the video we saw, the TSTX circulate through the patient's bloodstream. They exit the bloodstream at these porous tumor blood vessels. They deliver the drug to all 3 components of the TME simultaneously. So the cancer-associated fibroblasts, the tumor-associated macrophages and immune cells, and the cancer itself. So that's that 3-prong approach. And as a result, they actually eliminate tumors and their supporting structures. So you can see before and after of one of these tumors and the associated size. Now here's another look at the pipeline, you guys. So you can see IMX 110, 111, and 120 listed on the left here. The various different indications or things they're looking to actually correct, and the status of each one of these clinical trials. So again, IMX 110 is furthest along in the journey, currently in the phase 1B 2A status. The solid tumor indication is IND enabled. And I should clarify, IMX 110 is actually being developed to treat two different indications. So the first one is soft tissue sarcoma, or STS, and the second is actually solid tumors, and that's the one that's in collaboration with BeiGene and Novartis. So both using the IMX 110 technology, but looking to treat or attack different indications and at various different stages or statuses within the clinical pipeline. And then IMX 111 and 120 are in the preclinical status. Now, what this portfolio or pipeline allows Immix to do is really look at a huge market opportunity, you guys. So you can see oncology overall, which includes soft tissue sarcoma and colorectal cancer, represent a $28 billion combined opportunity. So $26.9 billion plus $1.1 billion. There's a number of different companies that are already operating in this space, and that's exactly why it's so attractive for Immix Biopharma, because they've got these cutting edge treatments. And if you actually look at some of the comparable companies, again, there's only a handful that are operating in the same realm as Immix Biopharma. So not only looking at oncology, soft tissue sarcoma, but also those immunodysregulated diseases that we talked about a little bit earlier. And what's really exciting to me as a potential investor is, regardless of which category you look at, when you start to take a look at some of the market caps on these companies, so C4 Therapeutics, $1.8 billion, BioAtla, just over $900 million, Chimera at 2.8, Morphic Therapeutics at 1.8, or Arena Pharmaceuticals at 3.5 billion, you can quickly see why there's so much potential in Immix Biopharma. And again, with Immix, you're looking at a market cap sub $40 million, which is just a fraction of any of these other companies. Now, another thing that I found during my research and is super exciting about this company, or Immix Biopharma, is actually an announcement that came out on May 9th talking about a share repurchase program. So if you scroll down here, you can see the board of directors has authorized a share repurchase program to acquire up to $1 million worth of the company's common stock. As of December 31st of last year, the company had about $18 million of cash and cash equivalents. And as of April 15th of this year, the company had approximately 13.9 million shares of common stock outstanding. So $1 million repurchase program definitely represents a sizable portion of these shares. And Ilya Rashman, who's the CEO we talked about in the intro there, goes on to say, we're confident with the $24.2 million gross proceeds raised in their recent IPO, Immix Bio is sufficiently capitalized to reach what they believe will be two upcoming inflection points: the clinical data from IMX 110 monotherapy clinical trial, as well as the clinical data from the IMX 110 combined with BeiGene clinical trial. So this gives me a huge vote of confidence. Not only has management secured enough funding to continue to develop these various different products and trials, but they also have money sitting on the sideline to repurchase shares of the company's common stock, which is a huge vote of confidence. Obviously, they feel their company is currently undervalued, and purchasing those shares off the open market is a great indication to investors of the value this company is creating. So for those reasons, you guys, I think this one is definitely worth a closer look. Again, they're pioneering a new class of tissue-specific therapies. They're going after a problem that has a huge addressable market and is looking to make a meaningful impact to the patients' lives and the lives of their families. They've got a rockstar management team that's been personally impacted by cancer, and they've got this robust pipeline of products and portfolio of intellectual property and patents that's supporting this company. On top of that, they've got these various different platforms that are supporting the growth of this organization and the technology that they're bringing to market. And their share price, as we talked about in the intro, has been trading relatively flat to what we saw in the middle of March. Again, making this a great buying opportunity despite all the key catalysts that have come up over the last few months. So with that being said, I'd be super curious to hear your thoughts on Immix Bio in the comment section below. Are you currently holding shares? What do you think of their share repurchase program and the product pipeline that we talked about in today's presentation? If you're not currently subscribed to the channel, McNallie Money, feel free to do so. And if you're still watching the video at this point, hopefully you found some value, so make sure you hit the like button before you leave. That's all for now. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.